Basic psychology. Biological rhythms, 2. Ultradian rhythms. Ultradian rhythms are cycles that last less than 24 hours. And one of the best examples is the cycle of brain activity during sleep.
Oh, that's fascinating. Can you tell me more about the different stages of sleep?
Absolutely. Sleep has 5 distinct stages, and they occur in a specific sequence throughout the night.
What are the different stages of sleep?
Well, the first 4 stages are known as NREM, non-rapid eye movement, sleep, and the 5th stage is REM, rapid eye movement, sleep.
Interesting. Can you explain what happens in each stage?
Sure. In the first stage, alpha waves disappear, and low-voltage slow waves replace them. The heart rate and muscles relax. This is light sleep, and people can be easily woken up.
Wow, that's really fascinating. What about the other stages?
In the second stage, the sleep becomes deeper, and people are still easily woken up. This stage is characterized by short bursts of sleep spindles and K-complexes, and bodily functions slow down.
Interesting. What about the third and fourth stages?
In the third and fourth stages, sleep becomes increasingly deeper, and people are difficult to wake up. This is where the repair work is done, and growth hormones are released.
Fascinating. And what about the REM stage?
The REM stage is also known as the active stage of sleep. After about 15 minutes of REM sleep, the sleeper re-enters the other stages in a cycle that repeats throughout the night. Ultradian rhythms evaluation.
Do you have any examples of research that supports the existence of ultradian rhythms?
Yes, there's quite a bit of evidence. For instance, a study by Tucker et al., 2007, found that even in strictly controlled laboratory settings, individuals still exhibited large differences in their sleep patterns, suggesting these rhythms are biologically determined.
Wow, that's really interesting. So these ultradian rhythms are unique to each individual?
Exactly. Another study by Erickson et al., 2006, found that musicians, athletes, and professionals often structure their practice or work sessions in 90-minute segments, which aligns with the basic rest activity cycle predicted by ultradian rhythms.
That's fascinating. Do these ultradian rhythms have any implications for cognitive function as well?
Yes, research by Klein et al. Found that participants' performance on verbal and spatial tasks was linked to a 96-minute cycle, similar to the ultradian rhythm in sleep stages, suggesting a potential connection between these rhythms and cognitive abilities. Endogenous pacemakers. Endogenous pacemakers are biological clocks that are generated from within our bodies, rather than being influenced by external factors.
That's fascinating. Where are these pacemakers located in our bodies?
The main pacemaker is a tiny cluster of nerve cells called the suprachiasmatic nucleus, SCN, located in the hypothalamus of the brain.
And how does the SCN work?
The SCN receives information about light through the optic nerves, even when our eyes are closed. This helps it keep our circadian rhythm, or internal clock, synchronized with the outside world.
I see. So the SCN is like a master clock for our body?
Exactly. The SCN is divided into 2 parts, the ventral and dorsal SCN. The ventral SCN is easily reset by external cues like light, while the dorsal SCN is more resistant to being reset.
Fascinating. And how does the SCN interact with other parts of the body?
The SCN sends signals to the pineal gland, which then regulates the production of melatonin. Melatonin is the hormone that induces sleep and inhibits brain mechanisms that promote wakefulness. Evaluating endogenous pacemakers. According to a study by Morgan in 1995, he bred mutant hamsters with 20-hour circadian rhythms instead of the usual 24 hours. When he transplanted the SCN, suprachiasmatic nucleus, of these mutant hamsters into normal hamsters, they also displayed the 20-hour rhythm.
Wow, that's fascinating. So the SCN is the main internal biological clock?
Yes, the SCN is considered the primary endogenous pacemaker. However, there's also evidence that there are other pacemakers and oscillators throughout the body.
Can you give me an example of that?
Sure, in a study by Fulcid in 1996, a woman named Kate Aldcroft spent 25 days in a cave. After this, her temperature rhythm was 24 hours, but her sleep rhythm was on a 30-hour cycle, suggesting separate endogenous pacemakers that can become desynchronized.
Interesting. So the SCN may not be the only main pacemaker?
Exactly. A study by Campbell et al. Also found that shining light on the backs of participants' knees shifted their circadian rhythms, suggesting the existence of other oscillators that can compensate and keep the biological clock in sync with the outside world. Exogenous Zeitgebers. Exogenous Zeitgebers are external factors that help synchronize and reset our internal biological clocks.
That's fascinating. What are some examples of these exogenous Zeitgebers?
The most dominant exogenous Zeitgeber is light. Studies have shown that light-sensitive proteins in the brain's suprachiasmatic nucleus, SCN, and other parts of the body, can reset our circadian rhythms.
Wow, I didn't realize light had such a significant impact on our biological clocks. What about other exogenous Zeitgebers?
Social cues, such as meal times and sleep schedules, were originally thought to be the main Zeitgebers. However, research has shown that temperature and other environmental factors can also reset our internal oscillators. Exogenous Zeitgebers evaluation. Fulcid et al.'s research showed that even when people were isolated from external time cues, their biological rhythms eventually settled into a 24-hour cycle, suggesting a strong internal drive.
I see. So exogenous Zeitgebers can only guide our rhythms to a certain extent, and our innate biological programming plays a bigger role.
Precisely. And Michel Sifry's case study, where he spent 6 months in a cave, further supports this idea. He found that his sleep-wake cycle shifted to 25 to 30 hours without external cues.
Fascinating. So our circadian rhythms are a delicate balance between external and internal factors.
Absolutely. And the evolutionary perspective suggests there's an advantage to this interaction, as it helps us stay in tune with seasonal changes.